We've had lots of questions from our visitors about how TrainTopia operates here at the Museum of the American Railroad in Frisco, Texas. This 2,500 square foot model train layout has 8 different rail lines on 3 levels. The control of trains is actually fully automated and quite sophisticated. So to answer the questions posed by our visitors, let's go directly to the source, members of our very own TrainTopia operations and maintenance crew. We hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes look at this fascinating model train exhibit.
Hey guys, we're going to talk a little bit about what our volunteers do here for our layout. We have a very large and diverse, skilled volunteer group that go anything from carpentry work to programming to just general mechanical work. What I do is I'm kind of the project manager, if you will, or the gopher. And we talk about what we're going to accomplish, what funds it's going to take, and we set priorities. What we're going to talk about today are the 2 guys that are responsible, and I use that term loosely, responsible for the automation system, for the design and implementation of the automation system that people are starting to enjoy. And with that, I will say adieu.
So we were asked by Bob Lacrell to automate this layout, and his key objectives of the automation project was preservation of the layout and presentation of the layout. In other words, we wanted to ensure the longevity of the operating environment and make it a great customer experience. So we started with digital command control, or DCC, to operate the locomotives, and then we used computer software to actually tell the DCC system what to do. And Steve is an expert on DCC.
Well, I wouldn't say expert, but we did have a big learning curve. And basically what we tried to do was connect the hardware to the layout through new wiring and sensors. And then we wanted to do computer automation. So we researched and found a software program, which Rick really delved into and wrote the whole automation program using that software. And so now we have hardware, software back together, running the layout.
Yes, and we selected a product called Train Controller, which was provided by a company called Freewald Software in Germany. And that software actually operates a number of premier museum layouts around the country. So the software is a pretty powerful tool. It's an object-oriented software which allows us lots of flexibility on what we can do. It took us about 6 months to program the software. We went live in February. We've been operational for over 4 months now on the software, and everything is running great. And all the customers and the employees have commented on how much fun it is to watch the train start and stop and whistles blow and back up and do lots of crazy things. So it's been a great project, and we're looking forward to do more in the future.
Okay, so this is an example of one of the over 100 sensors that we ended up putting on the layout. It's a magnetic reed switch, and it's tied into a circuit board under the layout with wire. The circuit board is called a DS64, and it's able to communicate 8 sensors back to the hardware and then interfaced into the computer, so that the computer knows where the trains are at any given time. All right, so this is an example of the DS64, which is the circuit board that brings in 8 sensors off the track and connects to the command station, which is the heart of the digital command control. Okay, so this is the TrainTopia Dispatch Center. The actual cabinet was constructed by Dick Thompson. He's our construction guy, and it is able to do manual with the old-fashioned railroad transformers, model railroad transformers, and then we can swap it over, and this is the digital command control. So this is what runs the automation. And it has a command station and 3 boosters with power supplies. And this is what's connected to the sensors on the track. And then it interfaces with the computer, and then from the computer to the software, which runs the automation of the layout.
And this is our information console here, where we have our giant screen with all of the functionality that we need to operate the layout. The first section here is what we call our information console, and that's where the volunteers and the employees can actually come up here and press a button, and they can operate all 8 trains on the computer at once. This will also tell them automatically, obviously, just like a schedule board at a railroad station, you can see what train is going where, what the track assignments are, and the status. It tells you where it is on the layout as it moves around. Up here we actually have a map of our lower level layout, a representation that the computer can understand, where we have locations on the layout that we call blocks, and those are areas where we have our sensors. And you can actually see up here that we have a locomotive assigned to this one block over here, and it's stationary right now. And we have 5 routes on the lower level, and then over here we have another 4 loops up here that actually is our upper level tracks. And you can see that we have a locomotive stop right up here in the New Mexico area. So this is a reference for the operators and for the public. Right here we have our engines and trains windows. These are the locomotives that are all of the locomotives in our inventory. And then we have trains that are assigned to certain blocks that are indicated here. And this tells us what schedule is being operated for that locomotive by the computer. And then it also tells us where on the layout it is. It actually changes as the train moves around the tracks. Here is just a standard clock that we use. Over here we have individual throttles in case the train needs to be moved manually. We can do that here through these controls here. Or when the train is operating under the computer, this will also tell us how fast it is going and that it's indicating under computer control.